I didn't let my girlfriend wear her unique dress to a wedding. My girlfriend has this red dress that she absolutely loves. It's this super bright fire engine red with these weird sequins all over it that catch light like a disco ball. She bought it last year for some work party, and ever since then, she finds excuses to wear it everywhere. So, last month, my cousin Ryan was getting married. Pretty standard church wedding. Nothing too fancy but still formal. When we got the invitation, my girlfriend immediately started talking about what she was going to wear. She tried on like 5 different dresses and none of them felt right to her. Then she goes into her closet and pulls out the red dress. I was sitting on the bed watching her hold it up in the mirror, and I just had this sinking feeling in my stomach. The dress isn't just red. It's like neon emergency vehicle red, and the sequins make it sparkle like a Christmas ornament. She's standing there grinning at herself, talking about how perfect it's going to be. I tried to be diplomatic about it. I told her maybe we should think about something a little more understated since it's a wedding. She got defensive, immediately asking what was wrong with her dress. I explained that at weddings, you're supposed to let the bride be the center of attention, and wearing something that bright might pull focus from her. She rolled her eyes and said I was being ridiculous. The bride is going to be in white, so how could a red dress compete with that? I told her it's not about competing, it's about being respectful. She said she looked amazing in the dress, and she wasn't going to hide in some boring outfit just because I was being paranoid. We went back and forth about this for like 2 weeks. Every time she brought up the wedding, she'd mention the red dress. I'd suggest other options and she'd shoot them all down. She had this black dress that looked really elegant and a navy blue one. That was perfect for a church. But she insisted the red one was the best choice. The week before the wedding, I was talking to my cousin's fiancée, Amy, about something else, and she mentioned how excited she was that everyone was following the dress code. I asked what dress code, and she said they'd asked people to avoid bright colors and flashy stuff because they wanted a more classic, elegant vibe. She specifically mentioned no red or hot pink or anything attention-grabbing. I went home and told my girlfriend about the dress code. She said Amy never told her that directly, so it didn't apply to her. I showed her the wedding website, where it was listed under frequently asked questions. She said that was just a suggestion, not a rule. I pointed out that when the bride specifically asks you not to wear bright red to her wedding, you should probably listen. She accused me of trying to control what she wears and said I was embarrassed by her. That wasn't it at all. I love her and think she looks great in everything. But this wasn't about looking good. It was about being appropriate. She said she'd already planned her whole look around the red dress and wasn't changing it now. The night before the wedding, we had a huge fight about it. She laid the dress out on the bed and I told her I wasn't going to the wedding if she wore it. She called me manipulative and said I was ruining everything. I explained that showing up in a bright red sequin dress when the bride specifically asked people not to wear bright colors would be disrespectful and embarrassing. She started crying and said I was making her feel ugly and unwanted. I felt horrible, but I also knew that if she showed up in that dress, everyone would be staring and talking about it instead of focusing on Ryan and Amy. I told her she could wear literally any other dress in her closet and look beautiful. But this particular dress was wrong for this particular event, the morning of the wedding. She was still planning to wear the red dress. I got dressed in my suit and waited to see what she'd choose. She came out of the bedroom in the black dress instead. She looked incredible and I told her so. But she barely spoke to me the whole car ride. The silence felt heavy, like every mile we drove added another layer of tension between us. When we arrived at the wedding venue, the atmosphere was exactly what I expected: soft colors, warm lights, elegant decor, and absolutely no bright or flashy outfits anywhere. People were wearing navy, black, gray, muted greens, soft pastels, everything subtle and classic. As soon as we walked in, Amy spotted us and waved. When she came over, she took one good look at my girlfriend's black dress and smiled genuinely. "You look gorgeous," she said. "Thank you for sticking with the dress code. It means a lot to us." I glanced at my girlfriend. For a split second, something shifted in her expression, like she finally realized the dress code wasn't some made-up excuse. But she didn't say anything. The ceremony began, and honestly, it was beautiful. When Amy walked down the aisle in her gown, literally every eye was on her. She glowed. My girlfriend kept watching her too, and her face softened. Like she finally understood that today wasn't about what she wore or how much attention she got. It was about the bride having her moment. During the ceremony, she rested her hand on mine. The tension wasn't completely gone, but she wasn't cold anymore. Dinner and reception started and everything was going smoothly. We took pictures, talked to relatives, ate, laughed. For the first time in days, she looked relaxed. Then something unexpected happened. She walked over to Amy on her own. I stayed back, pretending not to watch, but obviously watching every second. Amy turned and smiled and immediately hugged her. My girlfriend said something softly, and I saw Amy's smile widen. When they stepped apart, Amy said, "I really appreciate it. Bright colors would have been kind of awkward." Not wrong, but definitely not the vibe today. My girlfriend nodded and said something that I couldn't hear, but whatever it was, it made Amy squeeze her hand. When she came back to me, she looked calmer than she had all day. "I still love that red dress," she said quietly. I laughed. "I know. And you look amazing in it. Just not at a wedding where the bride specifically said no bright colors," she sighed. "I guess I didn't want to feel like you were telling me what to do." I shook my head. "I wasn't trying to control you. I just didn't want you to walk into a place where people might judge you for something you didn't even mean." She looked up at me, finally understanding. "Maybe I overreacted," she murmured. "Just a tiny bit," I teased. She rolled her eyes and nudged me. "Buy me dinner after this, and I'll consider forgiving you, deal?" I said. As the night went on, she loosened up completely. She danced, talked to my relatives, helped with photos, even cracked jokes with Ryan. My family kept whispering that she looked stunning and classy. On the drive home, she looked out the window for a long time before finally saying, "You know, if I had worn the red dress, I would have hated how people stared," I said. "I didn't want that for you." She nodded slowly. "I get that now." When we got home, she hung the black dress back up and then paused, looking at the red one still laid out on the bed. She picked it up gently, ran her fingers over the sequins and sighed. "I still think it's beautiful." "It is," I said. "Just not for a wedding." She sat beside me on the bed. "Maybe I cared too much about standing out," she said quietly. "Or maybe," I said, "you just like feeling confident." "Nothing wrong with that. You just have to pick your moments." She leaned her head on my shoulder. "Next time," she whispered, "you help me choose something that looks good and fits the vibe. Deal?" I smiled. "Deal." For the first time in 2 weeks, she kissed me without any tension behind it. And just like that, the red dress war was finally over, well, almost. Because the very next morning, she sent me a message with a picture of herself trying on the red dress again, posing dramatically. And she wrote, "Okay, but you have to admit, I look like a queen," and honestly, she did. Just not at a wedding. Story 2 I attended the wedding of my son whom I raised as a single father. But my nameplate said, "Low-educated fake dad." The bride's highly educated family burst out laughing. But when I tried to leave, my son said, "Dad, let's go home." The next day, an unbelievable thing happened at their company. Chapter 1, the nameplate. I stood at the back of the luxurious ballroom, straightening my ill-fitting suit. It was my son's wedding day, a day I had dreamed about for 2 decades. Ever since his mother walked out and left me to raise him on my own. I worked 2 jobs, fixed toilets during the day, delivered groceries at night. There were times we had no heat in winter, but I never let him go hungry. Never missed a parent-teacher meeting. And now here we were. Hundreds of guests, chandeliers glowing, champagne flowing, and a 6-tier cake that probably cost more than my monthly salary. I wasn't comfortable in this world, but I was proud until I saw the place card. At the family table, right beneath the golden father of the groom label was my name, followed by a phrase someone had added in mock cursive with a gold pen, "Low-educated fake dad." I blinked. Surely a joke. But then came the laughter from the bride's side. Her father, a retired university dean, snorted with a smug smile. Her mother covered her mouth, failing to suppress a giggle. One of her cousins whispered something to another, and they both looked at me and laughed louder. Heat rose up my neck. I looked around for my son, Jason. He was standing by the dance floor smiling as a photographer snapped pictures of him and his new in-laws. He hadn't seen it. He couldn't have seen it. I quietly turned the nameplate over and tried to sit, but the laughter didn't stop. Then I heard it. "Well, what did you expect? He fixes pipes. Probably didn't even graduate high school." My stomach twisted. I stood up, ready to walk out. But just as I turned to leave, a firm hand grabbed mine. It was Jason. He looked at me, serious, quiet, but with something burning in his eyes. "Dad," he said, "let's go home." I hesitated. "Jason, your wedding." I said, "Let's go home." The music stopped. The DJ froze. Guests turned. He looked at his bride and her family and said clearly, "You all just made the biggest mistake of your lives." He didn't explain, didn't yell. Just walked out with me into the cold night. And the next day, everything changed. Chapter 2, the man behind the curtain. The ride home was silent except for the quiet hum of the city night. My son drove, eyes fixed on the road, jaw clenched tight. He hadn't said a word since we left the wedding. Not until we reached the apartment, the same one I had raised him in, the same one I still lived in. Even though he now had the means to live far, far better. As I reached to unlock the door, he finally spoke. "You know, Dad, I saw it." I froze. The nameplate. "I saw it before you did." I was watching from the side. I was waiting to see what you do. I turned confused. Then why didn't you stop them? Why didn't you say something sooner? He looked at me, eyes filled with something I hadn't seen in years. Pain. Because I wanted to know if they'd do it. If they'd really humiliate you. The man who raised me on the most important day of my life. And they did. Jason pulled out his phone, tapped something, and handed it to me. It was a video recorded secretly. The bride's father laughing as he handed the pen to one of the cousins. Her mother joking about trailer trash walking among us. And worst of all, Jason's bride herself, nodding, "My real father is a man I'm marrying." She had joked. That plumber guy? He's just a formality. My heart sank. But Jason, he was calm, ice cold. "Dad, I didn't tell you this before, but I never signed the prenup." I blinked. "You didn't?" He shook his head. "They begged me to. Her father even offered to invest in my startup if I signed it. But I had already built something by then. Quietly with a friend, a tech security firm. That's why I kept living simply. I didn't want to draw attention." He paused, then continued. "Last year, we were acquired. Clean deal. I made more money than I ever imagined. Enough to buy and bury their entire family's company if I wanted to. Now I was the one sitting down." Jason's eyes narrowed. They thought they were marrying a trophy, a fool they could mold. But what they didn't realize is that I had my own game in play. And now it's checkmate. I stared at him stunned. He opened his laptop and began typing furiously. "Tomorrow, they're going to find out who they really tried to humiliate. And when I'm done, the bride's family will wish they never mocked the man who raised me." Chapter 3, The Shareholder Shock. The next morning, Jason was already dressed in a sharp navy suit by the time I walked into the kitchen. Coffee brewed silently behind him, untouched. "Dad, today the day they learn who you really are to me. Not some fake dad, but the man who made me who I am." He handed me a folder. Inside, company reports, financials, and ownership documents. The bride's family business, Westbourne Hospitality Group, a chain of luxury hotels and restaurants, was bleeding money quietly. And Jason, he'd been buying up their silent partner shares over the past year through shell companies. Quietly, ruthlessly. I looked up at him. "You already own part of their company," Jason smirked. "Try 48%. And as of 9 a.m. today, I'll control the majority." 9:15 a.m. Westbourne Hospitality HQ. Jason walked into the glass tower with me beside him. Staff paused mid-call, jaws slightly parted. The same faces from the wedding, now wide-eyed and anxious. The conference room was packed. Her father, Gregory Westbourne, sat at the head of the boardroom table, still smug, still clueless. "What's the meaning of this?" He barked as Jason took a seat. Jason calmly placed a thick file on the table and turned to the board, "Effective today. I control 51% of Westbourne Hospitality Group. Here's the proof. Here's the legal documentation. You can verify with your lawyers." A heavy silence, then murmurs. Gregory reached for the papers with shaky hands. His eyes widened as a realization dawned. You little parasite." Jason didn't flinch. "No, Gregory. I'm the product of the man you all mocked, the plumber you laughed at, the fake dad who worked 14-hour days so I could go to school. Who taught me honor, discipline, patience." The boardroom was dead silent. Jason turned to the others. "Let me be clear. I won't dissolve the company yet, but effective immediately, Gregory, your daughter, your wife, and all members of your family are fired. You'll receive your severance packages by mail." Gasps erupted. Gregory lunged forward, veins bulging. "You can't do this. This is my company." Jason's voice didn't rise an inch. "It was. Now it belongs to the man you spit on. Through me." Then he turned, nodded to me, and we walked out together, leaving the Westbourne stunned, their legacy in ashes. That night, Jason and I sat on the balcony, a quiet sunset, bathing the sky in orange and purple. "You didn't have to do that for me," I said quietly. He smiled. "I didn't do it for you, Dad. I did it because of you. Everything I am, everything I've built is because you believed in me when no one else did." My eyes missed it. "Happy late birthday," he added. "Next year we'll celebrate it the right way." Chapter 4. One last knock at the door. 2 weeks passed. The news about Westbourne Hospitality's hostile takeover spread like wildfire through local media and industry circles. Headlines ranged from Groomshock's elite in-laws to from Plummer's son to power broker, Jason. Once mocked was now being invited to speak at investment forums and leadership panels. As for the bride, Emily, she vanished from social media. Her once curated life of champagne brunches and vacation selfies went silent. Rumors swirled that she and her parents were now being sued for misappropriating funds and backdoor dealings in the company. And then one rainy evening, there was a knock at Jason's door. Emily stood there, drenched from the storm, makeup smeared, clutching a soaked designer handbag. Jason, her voice cracked. I made a mistake. I was under pressure. My parents, they always made me feel like you weren't enough. That your dad was beneath us, but I realize now, Jason interrupted, calm and composed. You realize now that the man you insulted owns the roof you're standing under. She looked past him and saw me sitting on the couch behind. Mr. Carter, I'm sorry. I was stupid. I raised a hand. Stop. You're not sorry for what you did. You're sorry for how it turned out. She froze. Jason pulled something from his pocket, a small envelope. Your parents signed this when they were desperate to offload remaining company shares. It's a clause that prevents any of your family members from ever working in or holding shares in any Westbourne associated business again. He handed it to her. That includes you. Tears welled in her eyes. Jason, please. Can't we just talk? He looked at her one last time. You had your moment to talk. You chose mockery over love. You chose public humiliation over respect. Now I choose silence over reconciliation. And he closed the door. Softly but finally, epilogue, legacy. 1 year later, Jason launched a scholarship program for students from blue-collar families, naming it after me, the Carter Foundation. At the ceremony, when the mayor shook his hand and asked, "What inspired you?" Jason pointed to me in the front row. That man, the one who was laughed at for fixing toilets, the one who taught me that real worth isn't in bank accounts or degrees. It's in integrity, resilience, and heart. The applause was thunderous. And for the first time in my life, I felt like the richest man in the room. Was this revenge perfectly justified? Tell us what you would have done in the comments below. Like the story, share it with someone who needs this energy. And subscribe to Revenge Exposed for more jaw-dropping tales of betrayal and justice. Because here, every lie has its reckoning, and every betrayal finds its shadow. Stay sharp, stay strong, and stay tuned.